Hey, everybody. Listen, welcome into the building. It's Monday. It's June 9th. We got stuff to talk about, and I hope y'all are ready. Listen, people, tonight's trending topics, the title is simple. It's called darkness. It's called darkness. Listen, I don't care what side of the coin you are on when it comes to this Diddy trial. You got to be in agreement with this. It's a whole lot of darkness. Now, is it Rico? I say no, but listen, I'm not the expert on these things, but so far to date, to this moment, and we are on day, 19 or something like that? Where's the Rico? Where's the minors? Where's the girlfriends that were forced? Jane Doe is still on the stand, and she talking about the fights, the this, the that. She set it up, but she didn't want to do it, but she did want to do it. It's a mess. It's a whole hot stinking mess. But on top of that, Diddy's team asked for a mistrial. Yeah, they did. They asked for a mistrial. And I was waiting to wake up this morning to see what the judge was going to say, yay or nay, to this ask of a mistrial. And Sasuke, I'm tired of it too, to be honest with you. I'm going to see this thing through the end, but I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Because they charged him like he was a gangster off the streets. And all we finding out is that he was just a horrific boyfriend, to say the least, that was addicted to multiple things. But the judge said he's not ruling until tomorrow on this mistrial letter that the defense submitted. We're going to talk about it. Because they're saying Brianna, whatever you want to do. They're saying she straight up perjured herself on the stand. She lied. And if you're going to tell lies, the last place you need to tell a lie is when you get up on the stand and you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and then you lie. There's legal complications if you want to get up there and lie. That's why you should get interviews. So you ain't lying, Sasuke. But that's why you should not find yourself in these dark situations. Then you don't got to worry about the Southern District of New York calling you in, telling you, if you don't help us out, we're going to charge you as a co-conspirator. Like they named Christine, finally. Christine out here talking about, I ain't see nothing, I don't know nothing, I didn't do nothing, I wouldn't indulge in anything, I wouldn't see this happen to people and stand by and watch it. But every time you turn around, somebody called Christine, sent Christine a text. Christine came up on the beach and helped drag somebody that was half passed out back in the house. You can't make this stuff up. This is like a Lifetime movie with 3 parts. And you sitting there like, this is unbelievable. And a lot of those Lifetime movies are based on true stories. If I would have seen this on Lifetime talking about based as a true story, and it happened many years ago before I was born, I'd be like, no, there's no way this could have happened. This is nothing but craziness and darkness, and they lived in it every day. And she did it all in the name of some rent. Y'all already know my story. I promise you, I would have been in the studio apartment with one TV and one towel and a washcloth that I had to wash every day before I would be. No way. No way. But these people, they sell themselves to the devil, and now they want to come to us talking about, can we get a refund? There are no do-overs. You signed up for that. And every time she talks about some debauchery and everything she went through, she kept saying, but he was paying my rent. Girl, did you ever hear, did you not know that women work now? Get a job and pay your own rent. But let me carry on. The other story I want to talk about is tragedy strikes a high school football star. This high school football star spent the night at somebody's house. You know what? I don't understand this, but let me say this to y'all. There's no need for your kids to have a sleepover. It's none. I don't understand the purpose of them. I don't get it. I don't get sleepovers. I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand the need. If you're going to have a party, let's party. And at the end of the party, you go back to your house. I'm going to go to mine. Like what? And you don't know what these other parents have in their house. So now there was a pow involved. He's gone. Nobody's charged yet. And nobody can really tell us what really went down, what really happened. It's a hot, stinking mess. The darkness is everywhere. You got to be the light in the darkness. You know, I think everybody has vices. But you know what? Some vices are more detrimental than others. I got a shopping problem. I shop too much. I know I do. But it ain't going to hurt nobody but me. But if you drink too much, you may hurt yourself and others. If you on substances, you may hurt yourself and others. Nobody getting hurt if I buy 10 pocketbooks but me. Gotta watch who you hang around with. Be the light. Don't get pulled in the darkness. Let me see. Mickey said, the love of money is the root of all evil. Bottom line, these chicks has no self-respect, and a man will go as far as you let them. They are all scripted. You better talk to the people. They have zero self-respect. And the people get so upset when we mention that. The people want to go, oh, you're victim shaming. Oh, you're this. Oh, you that. How about this? Every victim that came at the Cassie lawsuit was filed, for sure. They signed up for the shenanigans. If somebody said to me, I want to introduce you to this guy, and they say his name is John, and I'll be like, that John that was on the news the other day, John that had 15 people suing him, John who settled a lawsuit with his ex the day after she filed it, and I was able to read every last piece of his ex's lawsuit. You bumped into a stop sign, a yield sign, and you blew past all of that, and you still said yes, and you want me to feel what for you? Trying to figure that out. What do you want me to feel for you? Why do people get all the evidence in front of their face? They said when somebody tell you who they are, believe them. Jay said she was at his house. She was with Diddy when the video about Cassie getting beat was dropped. You saw that with your own eyes and you still stayed after that? And you want me to do what? You wouldn't even save yourself, but now in the aftermath, you want me to feel sorry for you and save you? No, you need to wake up. You signed up for that. And if the lawsuit wasn't enough, maybe you would say, you know what? She could be lying. That lawsuit was a lie. This is not who he is. When the video dropped and you still say, what do you want from me, girlfriend? Y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what? I need a choo-choo All aboard, everybody. It is Monday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The Diddy Trial, okay? The title is called Darkness. Somebody put hashtag darkness in the chat, okay? The Diddy Trial updates in this tragedy of the high school football star. Let me bring the people on in the building. Hey, Savannah.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Julius.
Hey, y'all, hit the like button. Choo-choo.
Choo-choo. You know what? Let me go ahead. We're going to first start out with this football star. It's so sad. And everybody, please hit that like button. And mods, I see y'all out there, Sasuke. Thanks for holding it down. Much appreciated. Listen, we're going to start with this football star. Just a tragic situation. Very sad. Let me share screen. 1 second. Let's get into this story. I think this is it.
Afternoon, friends and family now mourning the loss of a Camden County teenager.
That's right. 16-year-old sophomore Zaire Brooks from Kip Cooper Norcross High School was killed in a senseless shooting, and those who knew him describe him as a standout talent on the football field who made a lasting impact in his community.
Yeah, his family is now searching for answers as the investigation continues. Action News reporter Jessica Cartali live in Whitman Park in Camden, New Jersey, where a vigil is set for later tonight. Jessica.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This story is absolutely heartbreaking and senseless. The family now planning a vigil at this park, Brian and Christy, around 6 o'clock. They plan to say kind words about their son and then release balloons in his honor.
I think this trophy is actually a national championship.
Minaj Tompkins says his brother Zaire was an all-star both on and off of the football field.
He'd have been a great addition to any team that was looking at him to take him to the next level and boost his potential as a football player.
Tonight, Tompkins is struggling to accept that his younger brother is gone, the victim of a tragic shooting.
She put the gun to his head, and I guess she didn't expect it to go off. Making a long story short, the gun went off on my brother, and he's no longer here with us.
The Camden County Prosecutor's Office confirms that 16-year-old Zaire Brooks was shot around 12:30 Friday in an apartment on the 1500 block of Thorn Street in Camden. He was taken to Cooper Hospital, where he died 2 hours later.
It's tragic. Out of the years that we've been here, we've been in Camden all of our lives, and we've never, ever seen a gun. We've never touched one.
Investigators are working to determine who the gun belonged to and whether the shooting was an accident. Brooks, a sophomore at Kip High School in Camden, had a day off from school and had spent the night at a friend's house.
These parents that are leaving their unsupervised teenage kids at home and not knowing what they may come into their homes with, there has to be a better way.
His mother says Zaire was already talking with universities like Syracuse and Rutgers about playing on their football teams. His twin sister, a cheerleader, said she was looking forward to being on the football field with him in the fall.
I love you guys so much. I wish you were still here with me.
Investigators say that several teens were inside of the apartment at the time of the shooting. As of now, charges have not been filed. We're live in Camden. I'm Jessica Cartalia, Channel 6 Action News.
Yeah, what makes that even more tragic is that this was preventable. Jessica, thank you.
So sad. 1 second. Let me share screen again. Zaire Brooks, high school football star, dead at 16 after shooting in home. Zaire Brooks, a high school football star in New Jersey, tragically lost his life during a shooting on Friday, authorities announced. He was just 16 years old. According to the Camden County Prosecutor's Office, cops responded to a report of gunfire at a Camden residence and found Brooks suffering from a bullet wound. Brooks was rushed to a nearby hospital, though sadly he succumbed to his injuries while there. The prosecutor's office says multiple juveniles were in the home at the time of the incident, and detectives are still trying to figure out what happened. No criminal charges have been filed at the time, the prosecutor's office said. This investigation is active and ongoing. No further information will be released at this time. Brooks' brother told the news the shooting was a terrible accident. She put the pow to his head, and I guess she didn't expect it to go off. Tompkins said to the outlet. To make a long story short, it went off on my brother, and he's no longer here with us. Brooks, a sophomore, was a standout football player at Kipp High School and had been receiving interest from college programs like Syracuse and Rutgers. Zaire was a supportive teammate and friend, a dedicated student, and standout on the football field, whose talent and determination left a strong impression on all who knew him. Kipp High School said in a statement, "We are holding Zaire's family, friends, and everyone who knew and loved ones in our hearts. Rest in peace." May he rest in peace. This is a tragic situation. Don't let your kids do sleepovers to start with. Savannah, your thoughts? Savannah dropped down. Julius, your thoughts?
This is so sad and heartbreaking. This is so, this young man had a free day from school, so he went to his friend's house, expecting to come home the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a question. Why was that gun even in the vicinity in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Watch the words, Julius. Mm-hmm.
Oh, the pow. Sorry, y'all.
Fine.
Why was it not in a locked safe? And I do have to say I am sick and tired of the excuse. Oh, I didn't think it would, like it said in the article. I hope charges are brought, but unfortunately, knowing and having lost family members to the M word, it if people are convicted, it brings some solitude, but that ache and pain will always be there. And now this family is experiencing that.
Yeah, it's very sad, Julie. It's very sad. Thank you. 48, I'm with you. They better than me to find understanding it in this is God's grace. If it was me, jail her mama and daddy too. I know that's right.
Facts.
Facts. Because the adults in that home are responsible. Katrina, your thoughts?
Condolences to the family. My thoughts are, why are you playing with a loaded pow pow?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you didn't know it was going to go off. No pow pow goes off unless you pull the trigger.
Come on now.
So how you didn't think it was going to go off? This is the first time I ever seen a pow pow go off without nobody pulling the trigger. I've never seen it. I've been around guns, worked with guns,
Well,
military guns. So
pow.
pow pow pows. I'm sorry, pow pow. So that's no. Either y'all was in there horse playing, or y'all was doing something you had no business doing. And what make you put this to this person to this person head? It's more to this story than what they're saying. It's more to the story, because if I'm not trying to pow you, why am I playing with you putting that to your head? That's not making no sense to me. We don't play games like that. When we playing Russian roulette, we don't play games like that. And then you say you didn't know the pow was going to go off. The pow only goes off if you pull the trigger. So it's more to the story. The family need to find out. My child is gone in your house. I need answers, because these answers that you're giving me saying that it was an accident, that's not an accident. If you pulling the trigger, that's not an accident. That's not. So, D, you need to stay on this story, and the family members need to look into that. Because as I said again and again, no pow goes off unless you pull the trigger. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Diva, can I add for a quick second?
Oh, sure, of course. Mm-hmm.
I am glad we're all in agreement, and I think that's why there was so much hesitation with my commentary, because something is just spiritually not sitting right with me, and it's like I just feel this wasn't an accident, and I'm glad we're all on the same train when it comes to this story.
Yeah. I'm going to stay connected because something is definitely missing and something is definitely not right at DVS, and alcohol probably involved. Yeah, and why were all of these kids, why were all of these teenagers in this apartment by themselves? This is a mess. It's very sad. Pieces are definitely missing, and we need answers. I'm going to stay connected to see if anybody gets charged, but either way you look at it, it's super sad, super sad. So his twin sister is left, alone, so to speak, because that, they was twins. Now a young man never gets to graduate and is not going to college. It's just sad. And I just feel like kids, like a bunch of kids in a house by themselves, teenagers like that, it just doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and roll into the next story, which is the Diddy trial update. It's interesting that the judge did not make a decision yet on this mistrial. I think the mistrial is not just because Vanna lied. For me, it's because this thing has just been all over the place to begin with. So let me, is this the one I want to share? It's a lot to go through, but we'll take a listen and we'll talk about it. Sean Diddy Combs' trial, ex-girlfriend Jane finishes direct examination. In earlier testimony, she detailed hotel nights, graphic encounters that were nearly identical to what Combs' former girlfriend Cassie Ventura referred to as freak-offs. But we have since learned that he had a lot of different names for these nights that he had wherever he had them. Let's take a listen.
A former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs is back on the stand in his federal sex trafficking trial. Just last week, that woman, identified by the pseudonym Jane, broke down in court while describing encounters with multiple sexual partners during so-called hotel nights with Combs, similar to those now infamous freak-offs. Well, today she's being questioned again about her relationship with the music mogul and said that she reached a boiling point over his alleged demands. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas joins us now again outside the courthouse where she has been following this case since the very beginning. Chloe, before we get into today's testimony, just over the weekend, Combs' attorneys, they requested a mistrial for now the second time. Where does that decision stand?
So they were specifically citing testimony from a woman named Brianna Bangolan, and she is somebody who claims that Sean Combs at one point dangled her off of a 17th floor balcony. But during her cross-examination, she seemed to get some dates wrong. She couldn't remember some of the things that she had told prosecutors in advance of her testimony, and she appeared to be sort of hazy on the facts. And at one point, she had stated that nobody saw her being dangled over the balcony, and then her story seemed to change. And so what one of Combs' attorneys was saying in this letter over the weekend, Morgan, was that this individual perjured herself and that it's clear that you just cannot trust her testimony, and that the prosecutors knew that she was going to do this when they put her on the stand, that her story was shaky, and that because the prosecutors knew that her story was allegedly flimsy, that is a reason that there should be a mistrial because the prosecutors are acting in bad faith.
You know, Chloe, but this morning Jane testified about these texts, basically, that she sent Combs describing how she felt about these hotel nights that sounded very similar to the freak-offs that his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura described. What did she tell the court about her feelings and perhaps in some cases how her feelings changed over time?
So that's a really great point because I want to get to Cassie Ventura in just a moment, but I do want to read you some of a text message of what Jane Doe had written to what she said. She said, I wanted to stop having sex with other men. She texted, I'm tired. I need a break. I said, sex is sacred to me. I have brain fog and I can't concentrate. I couldn't focus because of all of the drugs. And then Sean Combs writing back, I don't want that from you. And she said she needed a break. So look, she has maintained all along that although she did procure some of these escorts for these hotel nights, which are also known as freak-offs, that she
didn't want to do it, that she did it because she wanted to make Combs happy. And she was also worried that he was going to stop paying her rent. I also want to point out that just moments ago, she was asked about what went through her mind when she saw Cassie Ventura's lawsuit in November of 2023. And she said, I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did, because there were 3 specific pages that held a harrowing resemblance to what I went through. And we actually just heard a phone call between her and Sean Combs. It appears that one of his phones was tapped after Cassie's lawsuit, or somehow they got a recording of this phone call between himself and Jane. And we were just listening to that in the courtroom moments ago.
A lot of really just disturbing patterns of allegations here and details. Chloe Malas for us outside that courthouse. Chloe, thank you.
All right, so we heard that. So what to know about the trafficking trial? A former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs, identified by the pseudonym Jane, returned to the stand Monday after she broke down during testimony last week, in which she described encounters with sex partners during alleged hotel nights. She alleged a fight that escalated physically and said Combs threatened to release sex tapes of her and show them to her baby's father. Jane has testified that Combs was paying her rent and continues to pay her rent. She is one of the 4 accusers referred to in the government's indictment that alleges he ran his business empire as a criminal enterprise and exploited the woman through his financial support. Combs faces 5 criminal counts, 1 of racketeering conspiracy, 2 of trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and 2 of transportation to engage in the P word. Combs has denied the allegations. When asked how she feels about Combs now, Jane says she prays for him. I pray for his continued healing and pray for peace for him, she said. The judge dismissed the jurors for the day after that. Let me go all the way down because it actually runs up the other way. I'll go that way for you. So Jane, a former girlfriend of Combs, to retake the stand today. The witness known only by the pseudonym, via the pseudonym Jane, is expected to return to the stand after breaking down during testimony last week. Last week, she described encounters with sex partners during alleged hotel nights that she said could go on for multiple rounds. Jane has testified that Combs was paying her rent and continues to pay for her rent. She is one of 4 accusers referred to in a government indictment that alleges he ran his business empire as a criminal empire and exploited women through financial support. Lawyers for Combs have, for the second time in 2 weeks, called for a mistrial as he faces charges of sex trafficking and other alleged offenses. On Saturday, his legal team wrote to the judge asking for a mistrial for what they claimed was a prosecutorial misconduct, alleging that prosecutors knew that one witness testimony was false. Court is now in session, kicking off day 19 of Combs' trial. Combs is wearing khaki pants and a white long sleeve shirt today. Upon entering the courtroom, he looked through some papers in a folder and sat down at the defense table. The witness returned to the stand this morning wearing a white jacket as lead prosecutor Maureen Comey continued the government direct examination. The witness said she was concerned about Combs taking explicit videos of her on his primary 2 cell phones because others on his team knew the security codes to get into the devices. She testified she asked him to make sure he locks it. Jane testified that Combs had promised to take her on a yacht trip after a hotel night. She did notice on social media Combs went on a yacht trip without her and with someone else. She said she voiced her frustrations and Combs was dismissive. They later met at a hotel and he tried to calm her down and claimed there was no sex. But on a podcast, he allegedly boasted about the trip and how much sex he had with the woman. The court was shown text messages Jane sent to Combs after being upset that he apparently lied about going on a yacht trip with another woman. Jane texted Combs in 2023 that she didn't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. On the same day, she wrote that she didn't want to fly to New York to be a hoe for the millionth time in a hotel room. With Combs paying her rent, Jane said there was a sense of obligation to perform regular acts for the defendant. She felt guilt She felt guilt-trippy things associated with living under the roof paid for by Combs, the witness testified. The arrangement made me feel like I had to perform sex for housing, Jane said. A text message she sent to Combs was shown in court in which she wrote, "I'm doing things that make me feel disgusting with myself." Jane said she was growing tired of having sex with strangers at Combs' behest, and in a 2023 incident with a cowboy wearing heels was particularly upsetting. Her voice cracked with emotion, explaining how she thought she was going to have a private time with Combs for dinner and shopping, but instead directed to meet Combs at Trump International Hotel in Tower, New York. "He gave me ecstasy," she recalled. "I was in lingerie, and this new surprise was coming. The man came, then Cabral came. The man came, then Cabral came. She and the male worker had intercourse in front of Combs," Jane said. "He was paid in cash," according to the witness. By October 2023, Jane said she had reached a boiling point with Combs' demands for her sexual performances. Combs had texted Jane to say he was missing her, and the witness interpreted this as his next request for her to have sex with a stranger. I said, "Call someone else. I'm not a peace star," Jane testified. That is exactly how I felt. Jane testified that she and Combs got into an argument after he asked her to set up another hotel night when he was spending time with another woman. She told the court that Combs texted her because he wanted her to reach out to men to set up another night while they were in Los Angeles. But Jane's noticed online chatter that he was with another woman, which set off an argument, she said. Text between them dated October 15, 2023, showed that Combs insisted Jane not say no to him. She responded that he made it very clear what he wants from her. Jane testified that she grew frustrated with the pressure on her to earn the most basic things from Combs, such as love and respect. She told the court that Combs seemed to give this freely to other people, but for her, it felt impossible. Jane said that she spoke to Combs about not wanting to have sex with other men, telling him that she wanted to make him happy, but that it was creating a war inside of her. Combs told her that's not what he wanted from her, Jane said, and she responded that she needed a break. Jane put her head down during this testimony and wiped away tears shortly before the court went on break. When Jane began to distance herself from Combs via text in October 2023, he wrote back that he wanted to see her and that they didn't have to have sex, according to the messages shown in court. But Jane called out Combs in her response, writing that she knew he was going to spend the day love bombing her, but that she has hit a wall. Asked to explain love bombing, Jane testified that Combs would shower her with love and affection to an overwhelming point. An article from the Cleveland Clinic explains love bombing as a form of psychological and emotional abuse and is used as a manipulation tactic. It was a pattern from Combs whenever he wanted to have hotel nights, Jane told the court. By October 2023, Jane says she became more vocal about her disdain for having to perform sex acts with strangers at Combs' behest. Jane testified that she told the defendant, "You treat me like an animal." The witness said she needed a break from Combs and was tired of having to do all the dirty S for him. Jane said Combs made her have sex with 3 men during the October 23 rendezvous at a Beverly Hills hotel. She didn't recall the name of the first man, but the second man was named Paul and the third one was named Sean. She said she had to leave to go throw up. Jane records Combs coming to check on her and then telling her to return to the party. She called the evening absolutely terrible. The witness said she couldn't just leave her relationship with Combs in October 2023, despite her objections to sex with strangers. At the heart of the matter was the financial control Jane said that Combs had over her by paying the rent at her home. It was like the home was being used as leverage, the witness said. In a text message to Combs displayed in court, she accused him of threatening the roof over my head. Jane says she viewed the footage Combs shot and kept of her having sex with strangers. "I saw me being high. I was following a pattern, the pattern that I thought he wanted to see," she testified. "It was like a show over and over again." During this whole time, Combs insinuated that these ongoing orgies were done on her own free will. When asked in court if she in fact consented to hotel nights, Jane said she was still trying to figure that out. Now she's still trying to figure it out, and this man is on trial for his life. Jane said she fainted after Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit against the music mogul, recognizing the civil complaint matched her own experiences with him. I almost fainted, Jane said after learning about the lawsuit. In fact, I think I did. Jane sobbed and recounted her reaction to Ventura's allegations. There were 3 specific pages that was just a harrowing reference to what I was experiencing, she said. I was just bewildered, just in shock. Jane testified that Cassie Ventura's lawsuit read like a play-by-play of the trauma that Combs allegedly inflicted on her. I reacted like I can't believe I'm reading my own story, she said. Ventura's civil complaint read word for word of the abuse she also endured, the witness said. I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma, Jane wrote in a 2023 text confronting Combs. Prosecutors entered into evidence a recorded conversation between the witness and Combs that was taken from a cell phone of Combs' chief of staff, Christina Corwin. Jane told the court that she didn't know she was being recorded during a phone call, which occurred days after Cassie Ventura's lawsuit was filed in November 2023. In the recording, Combs is asking Jane what he can do to make her feel better and telling her that his love is true. But Jane is confused, telling him that she feels sick to her stomach after reading Ventura's suit. She told Combs that he made her feel so manipulated and that she didn't know what to do with her feelings. Combs told her that everything they did it together. At one point, Jane is heard telling him that the timing was crazy and felt chilling. Jane is cut off by Combs when he starts to say, just a week ago, I was telling you, but Combs interrupts and he cannot be on the phone. Combs pleaded for Jane's support in light of the damaging Cassie Ventura lawsuit, according to a recorded phone call. I just needed to tell you I need your friendship. You know you ain't got to worry about anything else. Baby, please pray for me, Combs said. I will be praying for you. I need your friendship. The judge adjourned the court for lunch and asked the jurors to return by 1:15. As the courtroom personnel and spectators filed back into the room and prepared for the post-lunch sentence, Combs spotted his mother, Janice Combs. When he saw her, the defendant turned to her and mouthed, I love you, mommy. Prosecutors showed a series of messages between Jane and Combs in December 2023. Shortly after Cassie Ventura and months after Jane expressed displeasure at Combs' insistence she have sex with other men. In one message, Jane writes to Combs that she is crying in trouble, insisting that she no longer wants to do those nights with him. She urges him to hire P's rather than emotionally hiring women who love him. Later that month, Jane texts Combs that he was never satisfied. Combs wrote back that he didn't want to fight and asked her how to move forward. Jane told the court that after Ventura's suit was filed in November 2023, she didn't see Combs until February 2024. She testified that they were on a break. How are you forced, but then you're on a break? Do you see how messy this is? The witness told Combs in late 2023 that she needed to stay away from him, accusing the music mogul of gaslighting her. In a series of text messages shown to the courtroom, Jane said it was best for her to stay clear of Combs, who didn't seem to understand her need for this distance. I wrote that because he was trying to work my reality again, Jane said. Every time I would speak the truth or tell him how I was feeling, he would move on whatever I was talking about. Jane testified to the court that she had ideation and at the end of 2023, and that she expressed to Combs that she would unalive herself. She believed that Combs would use and break her and that she hated her life. She wrote to Combs that he was done with that she was done with her and that she just wanted to not be here anymore. When asked why she wrote these messages by the prosecution, Jane cried so hard that her answer was difficult to understand. In late December 2023, Combs threatened to release tapes of Jane and showed them to her baby's father, the witness testified. She said that Combs kept calling her and pressuring her as their relationship devolved. Jane told the court that he told her he had nothing to lose by releasing tapes from the hotel nights. Jane's text Combs' employee, Christina Corwin, to alert her to the situation. In exchange, that was entered into evidence. Jane wrote that she was traumatized from her experience with Combs and wanted space, but that Combs thinks he's going to blackmail him. She wrote that Combs was threatening to expose tapes in which she was heavily drugged and begged Corwin to talk sense into him. Corwin responded with reassurance that nothing would happen. Jane told the court. The witness says she joined the OnlyFans platform in early 2024. The platform is popular with workers who can sell explicit content of themselves to subscribers. I just wanted to reclaim having my independence and not rely on anyone and stand on my own 2 feet, she told the court. Jane told the court that that she had S with another man in front of Combs in Miami in February of 2024 after having vowed to steer clear of the defendant. While this admission could damage Jane's narrative that she was being controlled by Combs, the government is trying to get ahead of the defense by having the witness recall the rendezvous first. Earlier during the trial, an expert on domestic abuse testified that victims regularly stay in toxic relationships or go back to them believing there are no better options. Jane told the court she was still living in a residence paid for by Combs in March 2023 when Homeland Security investigations raided multiple residences belonging to Combs. Homeland Security agents arrived at her home at the time. Jane testified she told the court she called Combs head of security to alert him of the matter. Jane said she was represented by 2 different lawyers, both of whom were paid for by Combs. A S worker asked for $10,000 to keep a S tape of himself and Jane keep under wraps, she said. The man, identified only as Cable, said Combs shot the video using a former cell phone, thus giving the S worker easy access to footage, according to Jane. An undisclosed media company purchased the footage, Jane said, but the explicit video has not been publicly shown. Combs invited James to a huddle he convened last year to address the fallout from CNN's release of the 2016 Intercontinental Hotel video in which Combs was seen assaulting Cassie Ventura. Jane told the court that Combs is attempting to come up with a response, at one point denying the video, but eventually posting an apology to social media. Later, when she and Combs spoke about the video, Jane said he told her that that was the only time he engaged in physical violence with Ventura. Combs also told Jane that Ventura was a hitter, according to Jane. When asked if Combs told Jane he would hit Ventura, Jane said, "I think so, yes, but cannot recall specifics." Jane recalled a long time beating she suffered at the hands of Combs last summer, just 3 months before he was arrested. The 2 were at her home on June 18th, a very terrible day, she said, before recounting the horrific, violent details of their confrontation. It started when they argued about Combs seeing a woman at least 25 years his junior, leading to Jane calling him a pedophile and slamming his head into a marble kitchen counter, she admitted. Then when Combs flew into a rage with him kicking indoors to her master bedroom and then the closet where Jane was trying to hide, the witness said. As she fled, Combs kicked her in the back of the thigh, bringing her down so he could start choking her, Jane recalled. She managed to escape into the neighborhood and lingered for 2 hours in hopes Combs would leave, but he did not, Jane said. She ended up back at the house in the backyard where she curled in a ball, protecting her head, Jane said, as Combs kicked and punched her. After Combs found her, Jane testified he dragged her by her hair back to the house patio. She told the court that she punched Combs in the forehead, telling him that she hated him. Combs then allegedly punched her on her forehead in her eye area, Jane said. Jane testified that she saw that night she had 2 golf ball-sized welts on her forehead where Combs had punched her. After an elongated beating, Jane said she and Combs ended up back in the house where he forced her to take ecstasy and have relations with another man as he watched. Combs said, "Is this coercion?" Before making Jane take ecstasy, the witness said. Then he had Anton, a S worker they hired before, come to the house. I had to perform oral on Anton. It just felt like forever, she said. Sean was watching. I just felt disgusted. I felt terrible. Prosecutors showed photos of 4 doors allegedly damaged by Combs during his altercation with Jane. Jane said Combs damaged her closet door, bathroom door, bedroom door, and guest room door. Photos showed a crack down the center of the guest bedroom door that Combs caused by kicking it, according to Jane's testimony. Jane and Combs reconciled enough for the pair to meet up in Miami, where they spent 24 hours straight partying and having sex, the witness said. But when she asked to go to sleep after that round-the-clock action, Combs threw water in Jane's face and called her bitch, Jane said during her testimony. She apologized and took an ecstasy pill, which turned his mood around before they invited Paul, a S worker they previously hired, to drop by. According to the witness, he came to them 1.5 days later when she sprayed MDMA into his mouth and they had sex in front of Combs, Jane said. When asked how she feels about Combs now, Jane says she prays for him. I pray for his continued healing and pray for peace for him, she said. Judge Aaron then dismissed the jurors for the day. Whew. It's a lot. Julius, your thoughts?
Child. If you went through all of this, you still went back. Now listen, my sister is still here by the grace of God. She went through DV.
Sorry to hear that.
She is still here by the grace of God, and yes, she may have gotten into some trouble, but she's almost out of it. Because when I tell you that dude is a manipulator, he is a manipulator through and through. But God is good. But sweetheart, yes, it took her going through that to leave. But this young lady and all the rest of them had choices. And now here they are. And it's the same song and dance to me. You said he did this to you. Why did you stay? You said you didn't want to do the FOs anymore, but you still went along with it. You still took the substances that you didn't like taking. You still did it. And I'm going to get on Cassie here a little bit too. She did the same thing. Took the substances, performed, put on the little act. It's one thing if you are a professional sex worker, but when you know your own autonomy and you deliberately and purposely choose to allow yourself to be degraded, eventually you have to look at yourself in the mirror and take responsibility. And that goes for all the witnesses at this point, because this trial is a mess. To me, the prosecution hasn't proven their case. Even though Diddy is a dog and a monster, we all know that. But the prosecution was crappy, and that's it. That's all.
Thank you. Felicia, your thoughts? Felicia, are you there? All right, I don't know. I think we might have lost Felicia. Katrina, your thoughts?
I don't understand. These women, it's ridiculous. You doing this because you want him to keep paying your rent. Girl, get a job. That was your job. You didn't like doing it. What people don't, when they don't like their job or if they don't have no contract, what do? They quit. So obviously you must have loved your job in order to keep your apartment or home or whatever and your furniture. Because I tell you this much, if I'm doing all this, I'm gonna be living in a mansion or something because I'm not just gonna give my body away. And for once, he wanted to be his girlfriend. He was never going to respect you. You were never going to be the girlfriend. And like I tell a lot of people, never love yourself more than you love. Never love somebody more than they love you, because you always get the short end of the stick. And she was doing all this, hoping that he would want to be with her, but yet still, he's running around with Carisha on the yachts, posting pictures and everything where you were supposed to be. So there you go, right there, girl. You was never gonna be his girlfriend. You was his employee. He was your pimp, and he pimped you out so you can keep your apartment and your furniture. That was your job. So don't come crying now because you did it on your own free will. You told him you didn't want to do it. He telling you to do it. If you want to be his girlfriend, I would say like this: look, no man want another man touching his woman. This man had you there for a reason. A reason. Like I said, with all his kids' mamas, he picked the ones that he wanted to be the kids' money. He was with Carisha. She wanted the baby. What did he do? He get a baby with baby love come along while she still was dating him or whatever they was doing. But like I said, you put yourself out there in that situation. You should have got another job because that was your job and you was his employee. He was never your boyfriend, girlfriend. He was your pimp. But that's all I got, Diva.
Mm. Felicia, are you there? Okay, I think we lost Felicia. I can't believe he's still paying her attorney fees. I also can't believe she went back and flew to him. It sounds like she was jealous since apparently she hit him first in one fight. Sad all around. Yeah, this whole thing is very sad. I think the only reason why he did not stop paying her rent during this trial is because the defense is being very strategic and they don't want this thing to seem transactional like she's saying it is. So I think that's the only reason why her rent is getting paid. But I bet you one thing, when this trial is over, whichever way it goes, she better have a plan in order because her rent will no longer be getting paid. This whole situation is very sad, but it's definitely a telltale sign of when you have no self-respect or self-love for yourself, you can perhaps end up in a situation as such. I think none of these individuals that was in this Diddy orbit loved themselves enough. They were all just begging and screaming for Diddy's attention and his love. Cassie wanted to be the number one chick. She never was. This girl wanted to be the number one chick. She never was. And both, it's ironic that both her and Cassie thought the more they gave in to his demands of these freak offs, they thought that perhaps the more he would really, get closer to them and love them more. But I'm of the mindset. I'm not 10 toes down on it yet, but I'm of the mindset that Diddy didn't even love himself or doesn't even love himself. The amount of substances that was being used, yeah, it is. It's pimp hole behavior. That's for sure, Flip. That's 100% pimp hole behavior. And that one phone call where they did leak it, where he's talked about he's not gonna play these games with her anymore, and she better stop talking to him like this, and so forth and so on. I was just like, this was a crazy just mess. And he made sure he told her, I'm single. I can do what I want. But I don't know how people are being forced, but yet they can have breaks. So she talks about how she had breaks from Diddy. Cassie talks about how she had breaks from Diddy. So which one do y'all want to sell us? Do y'all want to sell us that these individuals, they could not break away from Diddy and he was forcing them? But then you can't tell us that on the flip side, they all took breaks from him. Like, which one is it? Now, let me address this. What do you call it so far? The mistrial. Let me give you my thoughts on the mistrial. This mistrial situation, I think it's going to be detrimental to both parties if it is a mistrial and it is a retrial. So if it is a mistrial, Cassie's in trouble because when she comes back to the stand this time, she won't be pregnant and the defense can chew her up and spit her out. I think the defense was very light and easy on her because she was pregnant and she was scheduled to give birth like any day. There's some other ones that I don't know if they would be able to bring them back and if they would come back. This Brianna, I mean, I don't think they could bring her back. To be honest with you, I think Brianna is still struggling with the substances, if you ask me. Some of the people that did, fine on the stand was Kid Cudi. But I think Kid Cudi did fine on the stand because he had nothing to hide and he told his authentic truth, right? That the Punisher, that particular worker, S worker, I think he did well on the stand because he didn't hide. He told his authentic truth, right? He told about the time he was with them. He told about when he left. The other people that is sketchy, and this is including the one cop that testified. Well, he wasn't a cop at the time, but he's a cop now. I think he's full of it. I think he did take part of the bribe money. But whatever, we're going to cover that up because he's a cop now. We don't want it to be known in the street that before he was a cop, he took some bribe money. Okay, whatever. But when you have these people on the stand telling half truths, it becomes problematic. Capricorn Clark, I think her testimony, there was some shakiness and there was some holes in her story. But I also think that Capricorn Clark, she wanted to be with Diddy. They all wanted Diddy. As horrible and as messy and as terrible as he was, they all wanted Diddy. That is like, growing up, I knew a lot of girls, they wanted a bad boy. They wanted a bad boy. And they would have a good guy. They say sometimes even the guys say good guys finish last. I don't know what is with these warped mindsets that these people want a bad guy. Give me the good corny guy all day long and I'm going to be happy in my house with my corny guy. Like, this is ridiculous. But they wanted a bad boy. They wanted a bad guy. And they was all fighting for Diddy's love and attention. Now, there was another one. Who else went on this stand? Capricorn Clark, Brianna, forget it. Bonna, they should have left her home. They could have left her home. They could have left her home because she was just all over the place. So far to me, there's not too many of their witnesses that they had on the stand that I could say, really was a slam dunk for them. Capricorn wanted her lifestyle back. So they might want to leave her out of the lineup. You know what, Special K? Yeah. So then if they do that, who do they got? They ain't got nobody. And a lot of people are saying with what is her name now? With the Jane Doe. My whole problem with Jane Doe is, to me, she was more cooperative than not. I don't even know why the prosecution has her up here. This is stupid. You was with this man up until the point where he got arrested. So somebody's getting arrested and they force you to come. You could have just called the Southern District of New York and you would have been good. But you did anything and everything for your rent. For your rent. And then finally, you want to say you opened an OnlyFans account because you wanted to have your own, freedom or whatever the case may be. No, you opened that OnlyFans account because you knew he was about to get arrested. And that's the reason why you knew things were going to be shaky. And you figured, let me figure something out and have a backup plan. Because if he gets arrested and they seize his money, they take his money, then how is my rent going to get paid? She was self-centered through the whole thing. And she sold her soul to the devil, all for some 10K rent. Yeah, crackhead behavior. I'm trying to tell you, Cassandra. And my thing is, you could have been, once you saw Cassie's lawsuit, you could have opened an OnlyFans account because you probably would have had less trauma to your body by doing, content online versus physically sleeping with all of these men. It's terrible. But listen, the case goes on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be day 20. I think tomorrow she's going to be cross-examined. And she's talking about she praying for Diddy. Honey, pray for yourself. Pray for yourself. Because I think
did she say she didn't want the baby father to find out?
Yeah, but you know what's so sad? He already knew.
Exactly, girl. You talking about you did send the X tapes to the baby father. That would have made me enough. That would have gave me enough vicinity to quit right then and there. And I would have just told my baby father what was going on. Maybe he could have helped you with the rent. Was you getting child support? Were you getting something from him? You didn't have to stay in no $10,000 house. I mean, you paying something a $10,000 house. If I'm paying $10,000 for a house, that house is gonna be mine. There's no possible way I'm gonna pay no $10,000 in no rent. That's just money you just throwing out the window. That's just ridiculous and stupid. So I see why he got her.
Listen, it is right, but you know what? Again, it's people integrity. It's sad what they would do. It's sad what people would do for $1. And I'm telling you right now, you could have found a nice condo because I wonder if her child goes to, and this is me asking. I don't have no problem with public school at all, but I'm just wondering if her child goes to a private school, whatever. Like you home yourself for $10,000 rent. I don't. And then now your kid in the future, because listen, I would never, y'all know I don't get down like that over here. I would never say her who I think it is or whatever the case may be. But let me tell you what's going to happen, and the judge is not going to be able to stop it. Once this trial is over, so she got about 30 days, right? Because the judge said by July 4th, this thing is a wrap. She got about 30 days, and her name is going to be mud in the streets anyway, because they're going to say her name. When this trial is over, they are going to freely drag her name up and down the streets. And now this is going to be out there for her son to see forever. And it's extremely sad. But you know what? When you are a grown person, you are responsible for the decisions that you make. Listen, guys, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow night. And hopefully I will be earlier. I will be earlier because, you know, on Mondays I do the recap of Raw with Royer. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be back on track at 8 p.m. I think I got a meeting, though. Maybe it's going to be 8:30 p.m. For trending topics. But I appreciate y'all. Good night and goodbye, everybody.